On a warm summer evening in Colorado Springs, 25-year-old Kathy Durand is about to turn in for the night.
Kathy's washing her face, getting ready for bed, and she thinks she hears something.
Who is it?
It's me, babe.
She realized that it was her boyfriend, Carl, and he's hollering, let him in.
It's me, baby. Come on.
What's wrong with you?
She initially assumes he's just drunk because he's kind of staggering.
What? Oh my God! Oh my God, baby!
Across town, Lt.Joe Kenda is trudging through his least favorite part of the job.
In the movies and television, homicide detectives are always out finding clues and engaging in multiple round gun battles from a range of 50 yards behind parked cars. None of that's true. The reality of it is very mundane. I am bored to tears, and I don't do well when I'm bored.
This Kenda.
It's the comm center. They're all agitated because they have a stabbing at an address, and I am elated.
All right, I'll be right there.
Great. Some actual work to perform, as opposed to this nonsense that I've been doing for the last 4 hours.
It's nearing 11:30 p.m. when Kenda pulls up outside a modest home in a working-class neighborhood.
Hey, Lieutenant.
Hey, so what do we got?
We've got a single stabbing victim, 32-year-old male. Carl Hunt is his name. He was found by his girlfriend. He was laying in the doorway, basically bleeding out.
The medics say Carl Hunt has suffered a single-entry stab wound to the lower right abdomen.
How's he doing?
Well, you just missed him. He just left in the ambulance, but it doesn't look good.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Surveying the scene, Kenda notices a trail of blood leading up the front walkway and onto the porch.
Hey, Lieutenant.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Is that the girlfriend in the car over there?
Yeah, that's Kathy.
Now, let's go talk to her.
Kenda hopes Kathy Durand can shed some light on what happened.
Kathy, I'm Lieutenant Kenda. Can you tell me how Carl got stabbed tonight?
I just came to the door. That's when I saw the blood and he fell.
Carl Hunt went out for the evening. She did not know where. He came home stabbed, and she had no idea by whom, where it happened, or why it happened.
Can you tell me a little bit about Carl?
Carl and Kathy moved in together 6 months earlier. They're liking it. They're kind of thinking that they might move toward having a family. He's a good provider, husband figure, goes to work every day, brings home a paycheck. And she seems really content.
He works for a construction company.
So he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and he's really into martial arts.
He's a taekwondo expert, and he's really good at it. I mean, put years into studying it, practiced all the time, and he's very, very proud of it.
So a man of his size and his condition should be able to easily defend himself. Yet here he is with a stab wound in his chest. That in itself, I thought, was odd.
Can you think of anyone that might want to harm him?
I can't. He just moved in with me 6 months ago. He was from the other side of town.
How were you and him getting along?
We got along really good.
She's close to her family still. He's a new guy on the scene, but nobody's going to question the fact that Kathy's happy and they're glad about that.
I'm sorry this happened.
With Kathy unable to provide any usable info, Kenda's investigation moves indoors.
His t-shirt is there. Paramedics very often cut clothing in the area of a wound so they can treat it.
But in the house's main hallway, Kenda makes a curious discovery.
I look around this house and I see bleeding going into the premises. Kathleen says he knocks on the door, he immediately collapses. So where'd this come from? I follow that blood trail through this house, and I find that there's blood in the bathroom sink. I also see a wash rag that has diluted blood in it and an open Band-Aid package on the floor. So I'm looking at this and I think, all right, so what happened here? Carl Hunt, who's obviously at death's door, all of a sudden gets up, tries to put a Band-Aid over his gaping wound in his abdomen? No, that didn't happen. Kathy's lying. Kathy's lying big time.
So the next question is Kathy the one that stabbed him? Everybody says this has been nothing but 6 months of bliss for the two of them, but maybe there was a big fight, maybe she'd had enough, and she grabbed a knife and went at it.
Where's my keys, huh?
Could Kathy have cut him? Kathy, you've already told me a story that isn't true. What else have you not told me?
Kathy, you know I found blood in the bathroom.
What?
Like someone was trying to wipe off blood. A lot of blood. You want to tell me again what happened here?
Okay. Carl came home with a cut on his hand.
Kathy says that this first injury happened an hour earlier.
Oh my God. What happened?
Got into it with EC.
Let me see.
Sliced my hand a little bit. Ah!
I'm sorry,
No, baby.
You need to go to the hospital.
No, I'm gonna take care of it.
You sure?
Yeah, baby, I got it.
Baby, let me help you.
He stopped the bleeding by washing it up and putting a Band-Aid on it.
So you're telling me Carl was involved in 2 incidents tonight?
I know I should have told you about the first one. I'm sorry, just with everything that's going on, I completely forgot.
There's always an issue when you have the I forgot story. Could it be? Yeah, sure it could. Could she have not remembered? Yeah. Could she be lying to me? You bet she could.
All right, hang on a second. Why don't you call our contact at the hospital and get confirmation that our victim, Carl Hunt, does in fact have a Band-Aid on his hand?
Sure thing.
Okay, Kathy, tell me how Carl cut his hand.
He was at my mom's house playing cards.
What's your mom's name?
Ruby Durant. She lives right around the corner from here. And it was another guy over there playing cards named EC.
Elbert Hobbs, a.k.a. EC, rents a room in Ruby Durant's house.
He's kind of frail and walks with a cane occasionally, is a drinker and is usually intoxicated. He also has a gold incisor on the right side of his mouth.
What about EC?
He can get a little grabby on women.
She doesn't like him because EC puts his hands on her, is always making sexual comments to her, and Carl is also tired of it and has complained to EC in the past that he shouldn't behave like that.
Carl told Kathy that he confronted EC, and the two came to blows. But EC pulled out a knife and sliced him across the hand.
Son of a bitch!
Next thing I know, he washed it up, and an hour later, he was gone again. And he didn't tell me where he was going.
Lieutenant Kenda, we just got word from the hospital.
What'd they say?
They confirmed that his right hand had a bandage over a deep cut.
All right, thank you.
So now Kathleen's story has some level of credence to it. The Band-Aid is on his hand like she said it would be. I'm still distrustful of her, as I'm distrustful of everybody. But she's less suspicious to me than she was. So if she is out for the moment, who's in? Well, EC already cut him once. What if EC decided to cut him twice? I need to get my hands on EC.
But before Kenda can track down EC, the case takes a surprising turn.
Hey, Lieutenant. So it looks like we found a fella out in the street. It's a little suspicious looking. He walked away when the officer called for him.
We found this guy kind of lurking in the shadows, standing within earshot of the crime scene type. How interesting.
What's he look like?
He's African American, in his 50s. He's thin, not too steady looking, has a cane.
Does he have a gold tooth by any chance?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Let's go talk to him.
At that moment, I'm thinking there is a God. The guy I'm looking for has presented himself. So at this point in this case, we know that Carl Hunt's been in 2 different altercations, and in both of them he got cut. We have EC cutting him on the hand, but who cut him in the chest? Could EC have run across Carl Hunt a second time? Of course he could have.
Before Kenda can dispatch patrolmen to EC's residence, officers inform him EC is already on the scene.
Do me a favor, run a background check on this guy.
Sure thing.
All right, EC, what brings you out this time of night?
Oh, wasn't doing nothing wrong, man. I was just out to see some of my friends.
This late?
I don't sleep much.
It's not unusual to see that a suspect returns to the scene of the crime. He wants to know what's going on, what are the police doing, maybe he's trying to help set up an alibi.
As he listens to EC, something about the suspect's appearance catches Kenda's attention.
What's that in your shirt, EC? Looks like blood.
There's blood on his shirt, drop bleeding above the chest.
That's fine, man. I got a bit of scuffle tonight with Carl, man. Blood's mine, and, he was kicking and punching me in my face,
I shine a light over his eyes, and I clearly see a cut that probably could use a couple sutures. When I'm looking at the wound he has in his forehead and his general stature and his frail appearance, he doesn't look anywhere close to anybody that could handle Carl Hunt.
Looks like Carl got you pretty good.
Excuse me, Lieutenant Kenda. Can I have a quick word?
Anything?
Well, the check turned up for some violations. Nothing too serious, but he does have an arrest warrant for failure to appear.
Perfect. He gives me an excuse to arrest him. I can warehouse him for a little bit until we see where this investigation goes.
All right, go ahead and cuff him, take him in, so we can get that shirt to the lab, have him check, make sure that it is in fact his blood, not Carl's.
Okay, we'll do. Officer, go ahead and take him in.
Put your hands behind your back.
What I do, man?
So I know where Carl Hunt was when he got into it with EC, but I don't know where he was after he put a bandage in his hand and walked out the front door.
I'll be right back, babe.
Where did he go?
To answer that question, Kenda calls in reinforcements.
Gentlemen, is Rocco here?
Yes, sir.
Put him to work.
Namely the department's top K-9 officer, a German shepherd named Rocco.
They're amazing animals, just amazing. Their sense of smell is remarkable. 400 times better than a human.
With Kenda and his team following closely behind, the K-9 officer follows the scent to a home not far from Kathy Duran's house.
The dog goes halfway up the sidewalk to the house and sits down. That's his announcement. Okay, fellas, this is where we need to be.
As Kenda shines his flashlight on the house numbers, he recognizes the address.
I think we know who lives here.
I remember from talking to Kathleen Durand, this is Ruby Durand's address, Kathleen's mother. This is where E.C. lives. This is the card game. And I do something referred to as the police knock, the kind that wakes the dead.
Police, open up!
Can I help you?
Are you Ruby Durand?
Yes.
I'm Lieutenant Kenda with the Colorado Springs Police Department. We're investigating the stabbing of Carl Hunt.
Carl got stabbed? It's awful.
She replies, "Oh, how terrible," but I know she doesn't mean that. You can see it in her face.
I understand a fight broke out here tonight between Carl and E.C.
Yeah. I did see Carl drag E.C. outside, and he started welling on the old man.
Everybody breaks it up, and the card game breaks up, and everybody leaves.
Who else was at the card game besides Carl and E.C.?
Pops was here.
Pops.
Yeah, that's my husband. That's my old man.
Ruby says that Pop's real name is Booker Durand. In addition to being Ruby's husband, Pop's is stepfather to Ruby's daughter, Kathy.
And he just doesn't live here right now.
Well, what does that mean? Well, we fight, and he moves out, and then he comes back, and he has an apartment somewhere on the east side. But we've been getting along well lately, so I think he's going to move back in. But he still comes here and plays cards. Ruby says he's kind of viewed as the leader of the area, and Pops is kind of the in-charge guy.
He's very, very social. A bit of a performer. He's got a line for everything.
Everybody likes him. He's the one that coordinates the card games, and people look up to him, respect him.
Can you tell me where Pops is right now?
Look, Pops isn't here, okay? I mean, I'd love to help you guys, but it is midnight, and I just don't know what else to tell you. I mean, nothing happened here.
Ruby Durand is saying, I didn't do anything. Nobody's here now but me, and I'm innocent as the driven snow. The only complication Ruby has with that line is a trained police canine that says otherwise, and I want in that house.
Can we come inside for a minute and look around the house?
Yeah, whatever, but make it fast. Hurry.
I walk in the house. We don't search the house. I just look it over. And it's every appearance of her being truthful. There is no blood. There is nothing out of place. So when Ruby said nothing happened in here, that's apparently true.
As Kenda prepares to leave Ruby's house, he receives a call from headquarters.
Go for Kenda.
The forensics lab has completed its analysis of the blood recovered from E.C.'s shirt.
They called to tell me that that blood was in fact E.C.'s blood. That is his blood from his head wound administered by Carl Hunt during the course of a confrontation.
10-4, Kenda out.
With no blood evidence tying E.C. to the second attack on Carl, Kenda's only hope is that someone else at the card game will offer up additional intel.
Strand, would you write down the names of everyone who was at the card game?
Sure.
Were you at home all night when everyone was here?
Yeah, I was, until the card game ended. Then I took a couple of people home.
Did you see or hear anything unusual when you were out?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. As I was driving home, I saw someone running down the street.
Ruby says that as she pulled up in front of her house, she saw a Caucasian man in his early 30s running north down the sidewalk on Bennett Street carrying a knife.
You know who he is? Oh, I know who it is. His name is Craig Stevenson. He plays cards here all the time. And he was here that night, part of the game.
I don't know where Craig lives, but I know that his mom, she works at a florist shop in town. I think it's called Falcon Florist.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Mr. Rand.
I'm sure.
I break contact with Ruby. I'm looking down the street in the direction that Craig ran. I've been through a couple of people already, but but now my interest is strictly Craig Stevenson. I think the odds are excellent that he is my stabber. Hey, Craig, you and I need to have a long talk. We're investigating the stabbing of Carl Hunt. We initially have a victim and no crime scene, but now we have a canine that leads us to the location. Ruby Durand, the resident of that home, has given us our best suspect, Craig Stevenson.
A criminal background check on Craig Stevenson has only heightened Kenda's suspicions about him.
He has an extensive criminal history that goes back to his teenage years. He's been in a lot of trouble for a very long time. So he is certainly capable of this kind of behavior.
It showed he had some theft cases in the past and whatnot, but most important thing, it showed that he was currently wanted on a felony burglary warrant. So he's our #1 suspect at this point.
The background check doesn't provide Craig Stevenson's current place of residence, but Kenda has an idea how he can find him.
I developed a second team of detectives to check with the names provided to us by Ruby Durand to find if Craig could be staying with one of them. We also know, because Ruby told us, that his mother works in a floral shop. So we're going to check with Mom, and the whole purpose of this entire effort is to find him.
On his way to meet Craig's mother, Kenda receives another call on the radio.
Go for Kenda.
I'm informed over the air Carl Hunt has died from his injuries. So Craig Stevenson is no longer a suspect in an assault. He's a suspect in a homicide.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes. Good afternoon.
We're with the Colorado Springs Police Department. Can we speak with you for a moment?
Sure. What can I do for you?
Well, it's about your son, Craig. We're trying to locate him.
I see a stricken look come over her face because there's no doubt that there is a long history between mother and son.
What's he done now? What's going on?
Well, we need your help. Can you tell us where he's currently living?
We're not really that close lately. Last I heard, he had an apartment over on the east side. That's all I know.
Mrs. Stevenson, I know this is very hard on you, but we need to speak to him about a very serious situation.
I explained to Donna Stevenson that her son is currently a prime suspect in a homicide. He will be considered armed and dangerous, and thus he puts himself at great risk that some policeman is going to put a bullet in him.
Can you tell us where we can find him?
The last address I know is a place over on DeGraw Street. I don't even know if he's there now or not. I can give you the address.
Within minutes, Kenda and his men have made their way to the north end of DeGraw Street.
All right, the house about a half a block down the left-hand side. This guy's potentially armed and dangerous, so we're not sure what to expect. So be ready, all right?
Okay.
Let's go.
Anytime you approach a homicide suspect, you never park near the place. You park a block or two away and you walk in. You do so as quietly and as cleanly as you can.
Police, come to the door!
It's deadly silent. All the blinds are up. You can clearly see inside the place. There's nobody around.
All right, let's go.
So now the hunt continues.
Across town, Kenda's second unit is following up on the names provided by Ruby Durand to see if any of the men from the card game have been harboring Craig Stevenson.
Can I help you guys? Yeah, we're conducting an investigation concerning a buddy of yours, Craig.
Craig?
Yeah, Craig. We understand that he's been staying here with you.
No.
In some sort of trouble? Well, do you mind if I take a look around?
I've got no problem.
Stop right there! Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Go down to your knees. Get down on your knees. Put your hands behind your back. Is that your guy?
That's our guy.
Craig, I'm here to talk about a pretty serious matter. So if you want to request an attorney, now would be the time to do it.
I'm good. I don't need an attorney.
I understand you like to play cards.
Nah, play cards.
Okay, Craig. Let the lying begin.
You don't?
No.
Not with Pops Duran or Carl Hunt over at Ruby's house?
I don't even know them.
The only thing Craig is sure of is he's reasonably certain this is North America. So it's time to move up a level.
You don't know who they are? I find that interesting, Craig. Because Ruby says you play cards here all the time. And in fact, the night that Carl was stabbed, she swears she saw you running down the street with a knife in your hand. So how you want to play this, Craig?
Is your memory beginning to improve, Craig? You know a better drift of what I'm talking about here? Or do you still want to play the dumb game?
And Carl Hunt is dead. You can forget about the burglary charge. This is murder.
And you watch his face drain. Craig now understands that he is at great risk here. This guy is really serious, and oh man, I better start talking now.
Okay, look. I had the knife, but it wasn't me.
Really?
But I know who did it. I'll tell you the truth, I swear.
Now that is what I want to hear. Well, all right then, Craig. Enlighten me.
After sifting through a series of suspects, Lt.Joe Kenda finally believes he is face to face with Carl Hunt's killer. But instead of confessing, Craig Stevenson desperately claims his innocence.
Craig looks at me with that look in his eye. He's being very intense, as he really needs me to believe him now. And he says, I didn't do this, but I know who did.
Okay, Craig. Who did it?
It was Pops.
Craig says that Booker Durand, aka Pops, is the one who fatally stabbed Carl Hunt.
It was all about a fight between Carl and EC early that night. No, I'm gonna kick your ass. I told you 100 times to not put your hand on my girlfriend. Shit. You son of a bitch. Get the hell off me.
Craig says EC is Pop's best friend.
Craig says that after the card game ended, Pop still couldn't get over the fight.
Hell, this Carl guy, man. Coming in my house. Disrespecting my house, man. Disrespecting me.
Nobody can disrespect your house, Pops.
I mean, disrespecting our card game, man. Drinking all my liquor. Puts his hands on EC, man. That's my boy.
I know.
Pops gets more and more upset that he's been disrespected in his home by Carl Hunt, who's an outsider, who's only been around for a few months.
Nobody does you like that. We got you.
You know what? Let's go talk to him. Go handle this.
According to Craig, that's when Pops decided to head over to Kathy's house and confront Carl.
Hey, Craig, just stay right there, man. I got this. Yo, Carl! Come outside. You got some apologizing to do, man. Yo, Carl, come outside. Yeah, there you go.
Pop, what the hell you want?
Yo, that you did at EC?
Pop, take your old ass home. This ain't got nothing to do with you.
You think you all come around here disrespect me like that, man?
This ain't got nothing to do with you,
Yo, you better watch your mouth, young boy. Yo, man.
This got nothing to do with you, Pop.
Man, you hit his. Man, you hit his. You hit his.
Craig says he never expected Pops to have a blade or to use it on Carl Hunt, but he did.
I guess that's when Ruby saw me. I took the knife from Pops, took off down the street, threw in the bushes somewhere. Didn't know what to do.
Craig Stevenson's version of the event seems plausible, but there's just one problem.
Craig's statement is totally at odds with what Kathy Durand has been telling us this whole time. Kathy says that Carl was stabbed somewhere else, walked home bleeding, got to the door, and then collapsed. But that's not what Craig is saying. So somebody's lying.
Kenda wonders if Craig Stevenson stabbed Carl and then blamed it on Pops in order to save his own skin. To answer that question, there's just one thing Kenda needs to do. Bring Pops Durand in for questioning.
We have more than sufficient information to obtain a warrant for Booker Durand, a.k.a. Pops, for one count of first-degree murder, and we do precisely that. Now our mission is to find him. The best place to start is at Ruby's house, where he lives half the time and half the time not.
What the hell do you want now?
She's a lot less friendly than she was the last time.
Where's Pops?
Look, I told y'all he's not here.
Well then, since we have a warrant for his arrest, you won't mind stepping aside while we search the house.
Step aside or be arrested for interference. Have a seat, and this officer will stand there with you. We're looking through this house, and in one bedroom, there's a really large pile of laundry. It looks out of place. I look at the pile, and I see 2 fingers sticking out of one side of it. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Another dead guy? A wounded guy? Who's under these clothes?
Who the hell are you? I'm Charlie Daniels.
Well, you don't look like Charlie Daniels to me. Get up.
Keep your hands where I can see them. Checking for ID.
He gets up, we check him for ID. He's Booker Durand, also known as Pops. Not the best guy in the world at hiding.
What are you doing in there?
I was hiding. I thought you guys were some thieves or something.
Really? How many thieves you know announce themselves as the police and wear uniforms? You must have a different kind of thief around here.
I think we need to go for a little ride, Pops.
Really? Where we going?
We're going down to the police station. I'll tell you all about me, and you tell me all about you. Won't that be fun?
Got me in these handcuffs, man. Wow.
All right, sit down.
It's a nice room you got here.
Sit.
Hey, my hat. Comb my hair today. Hey, can I get one of those?
No.
Wow, I like that watch you wearing there. It's nice.
Pops is a guy that doesn't rattle very easily. He's having a good time. He walks in this interrogation room like we're all going to sit down and play poker. I'm surprised he didn't ask for a drink.
I want you to tell me about stabbing Carl Hunt.
Carl? Carl got stabbed? Man.
Come on. We already know you stabbed him after the card game.
Huh? What card game would this be? Hey, I'm not really a gambling man, you know. I don't play cards.
Pops has been talked to by the police all his life. He's not going to tell me anything he doesn't want to tell me.
Don't know anything about a card game. Don't know anything about Carl getting stabbed.
Look, I didn't even know Carl got hurt until you pulled me in here.
You want to stick with that?
Look, you play cards? You can teach me how to play cards. How about that? You, me and this guy right here, we play cards together. How about that?
Get him out of here.
All right, stand up. Stand up.
Where we going? Hey. Call me sometimes you want to play cards. I'm not even a gambling man.
I've washed my hands of Pops for the time being. We lock him up in the county jail and carry on.
With Pops refusing to cooperate, Kenda must now lean on the one eyewitness who can confirm or deny Craig Stevenson's version of how the crime went down. Carl Hunt's girlfriend, Kathy Durand.
If what Craig is telling us is true, what does that tell us about the credibility of Kathy? Was she lying to us initially about what happened here? If Craig is telling us the truth, then Kathy knows a lot more than what she told us. She needs to be talked to again.
That afternoon, Kenda pays Kathy Durand another visit.
Have a seat.
I am not happy when I go back to contact Kathleen. And I make that abundantly clear to her.
I know you lied to me. If you lie to me again, you're gonna have serious regrets.
If you lie to me now, I guarantee you I'm gonna put you under a prison. You'll discover a couple of things about me. I treat people fairly, but I'm also ruthless. And you're about to meet ruthless. Now talk to me.
Investigating the murder of Carl Hunt, Lt.Joe Kenda has circled back to eyewitness Kathy Durand, demanding she come clean about what happened the night of the crime.
Now you tell me the truth, I'm gonna charge you an accessory to this murder.
Okay.
Now she's in tears, and I believe I have reached her.
Kathy breaks down and admits she's been lying from the start.
We were all at my mom's house playing cards and drinking.
Oh, man. I'm good, Pops.
Kathy tells Kenda that while she was cleaning up in the kitchen, EC cornered her.
Hey.
EC comes up behind her and gropes her.
EC, stop.
And that's why Carl lost it.
Hey. What the hell you doing, man? What the hell you doing? I'm gonna kill her. Damn it, I'm gonna kick your ass. What the hell you doing? No, you ain't gonna be doing that.
EC is no match for Carl Hunt.
No, I'm gonna kick your ass. Get son of a bitch. Get the hell off.
Kathy says after Carl calms down and the fight's over with EC, he takes her and they go home. He doesn't go out a second time like she initially told me.
Next thing I know, Pops came on the porch yelling, telling Carl to come outside.
Yo, Carl! Yo, Carl, come outside! Show your face! Yo, Carl, come outside! Yeah, there you go. Come outside. Show your face.
It's Pops.
I know.
Come outside, all right?
I'm gonna go and talk to him.
No, don't go talk to him. No, stay in here.
Yo, Carl, come outside.
I'm just gonna hold a conversation with him.
Babe, I told Carl not to go outside. Next thing I know, Carl was standing over Pops on the porch.
You got some apologizing to do,
When you want Pops? I got it, man.
Yeah, that you did to EC? Hey, man, who the you think you are coming around here disrespecting me like that,
Come on,
man?
Pops. Look, it's no big deal. Just leave it alone.
Hey, yo, you better watch your mouth, young buck.
Baby, come back inside.
I got it, baby. I got it.
Hunt is the peacemaker, Kathy says. And for whatever reason, that seems to fire up Pops even more.
And Carl was standing over Pops, and Pops reached up and stabbed Carl. I'm sorry for not telling you the truth, but that's my family. And you have to understand, I have to do anything to protect my family. Pops is my stepdad, and I have to do what I have to do, okay?
Kathy says, when you came here and you saw what happened, I thought I could lie to you and I could protect these people because they're my blood, they're my family. And I said, look, Kathy, I understand why you did that, but that why is over.
With Kathy confirming Craig Stevenson's version of events, Booker Durand, better known as Pops, is charged with murder. But Pops never sees the inside of a prison.
Pops is eventually brought to trial, and Pops is found not guilty by a jury. Most likely because of the murkiness of who did what to whom when.
This case frustrates me because I think the system failed. Somebody died and nobody paid for it. It's ironic because this is all about family protecting family. It wound up destroying another family because Carl was somebody's boy.
For Pops, in my opinion, this is a crime of retribution, a crime of passion. Carl has transgressed. He goes to the king's house and he behaves badly. And the king feels compelled to punish Carl for his behavior. Kathleen makes a choice between the new boyfriend and her blood. And she picks blood. She lies to
At 2:17 a.m., a payphone that shouldn't have been used in years spits out a call that lasts 11 seconds, and the next morning a quiet apartment in Sydney feels wrong in a way the human body understands before the brain can explain, because the air has that thin, metallic bite like rain on hot concrete, and the silence has weight, and somewhere behind a locked door a radio alarm is still blinking the same angry red digits, trapped in time, insisting it's a normal day when nothing about this day will ever be normal again. The building sits back from the street in the inner west, the kind of brick walk-up you pass without looking, jacarandas spilling purple confetti over parked cars, laundries hanging like flags of ordinary lives, letterboxes scarred by keys and impatience. A place where neighbors learn each other's footsteps without ever learning each other's names. That morning, one neighbor does learn a name, because she's been hearing the same phone ring through the wall for too long, the sharp, old-fashioned bell of a landline that keeps demanding attention, and when she knocks there's no answer, and when she knocks again the sound goes nowhere, like the door is swallowing it. She tells herself it's nothing, tells herself people sleep in, tells herself she's being dramatic, but her hand is already dialing. The operator voice is calm. The police arrive with the casual posture of routine, until routine breaks. The first officer tries the knob. Locked. He leans in, listens. Inside, the phone rings once more, then stops, then starts again, as if someone is standing there, letting it ring on purpose. They call the building manager, a man in a faded polo shirt, who keeps apologizing while his hands shake as he fumbles the keys. The key doesn't turn cleanly. Something's been wedged into the strike plate, something thin. When it finally gives, the door opens only a few centimeters and catches. A chain. Standard. Safe. The officer slips a flashlight beam into the gap and sees the hallway, narrow, tidy. A pair of shoes placed carefully against the skirting board. He calls out. No answer. The beam slides over a framed photo on the wall, a woman in sunlight, laughing, hair pulled back, holding a coffee cup like it's a trophy. The chain rattles as the manager undoes it, and the door swings in on a groan that sounds too loud for the hour. The apartment smells clean at first. Lemon detergent. Dryer sheets. Something recently wiped down. It's the kind of cleanliness that doesn't soothe, it alarms, because it's too deliberate, too staged, like a room in a real estate brochure. The living area is small. A couch. A coffee table. A stack of DVDs. A laptop closed like a mouth that refuses to speak. The curtains are half drawn, letting in that pale Sydney morning, and in the slanted light you see what shouldn't be there. The faint smear of something on the wall near the hallway, a drag mark that a damp cloth tried to erase, but didn't quite. A dark shadow that doesn't belong to any object. The officer steps forward and his boot makes a soft, sticky sound, and he freezes, because the floor under him has a dull shine that isn't Polish. They find her in the bedroom. She's on the carpet beside the bed, not under it, not tucked away, not theatrically posed, just there, as if she fell and was never allowed to get up again. Her name is Eliza Ward. 26. Marketing assistant by day, singer in a small band by night, the kind of person who knew the bartenders by name and the security guards by face, the kind of person who posted blurry photos on MySpace with captions that sounded fearless. In the bedroom there are posters of old gigs, a cheap microphone stand in the corner, an open wardrobe with clothes arranged by color. There is no overturned furniture. No broken lamp. The bedspread is smooth. The violence, if it happened here, was efficient. Controlled. And then the detail that makes even seasoned detectives swallow hard: her hands are clean. Her nails intact. No obvious defensive wounds. The bruising is subtle. A faint banding on one wrist. A darker mark behind the ear, half hidden by hair. The kind of injuries that whisper instead of scream. Paramedics call time. Uniforms fill the room. Radios crackle. Someone photographs every angle, every thread of carpet, every speck on the skirting board, as if the room is a language and the only way to understand it is to record every letter. They bag her phone, a silver Nokia with a cracked corner. They collect the landline receiver, still warm from its own insistence. They walk through the kitchen and find a mug in the sink with lipstick on the rim, a cheap red that looks like a bruise. They find 2 wine glasses on the draining rack, both rinsed, both upside down, both too clean. They find the bin lined with a fresh bag, empty except for a single paper towel, damp, smelling faintly of bleach. The neighbor who called it in keeps saying the same thing. She's not like this. As if Eliza had a personality that would reject death on principle. She always texted back. She always had music on. She wouldn't just disappear into her own apartment. In the hallway outside, other residents gather, clutching robes, staring at the police tape like it's a boundary between worlds. Someone recognizes the band posters. Someone whispers about the gigs. Someone says she was out last night. Someone says they saw her come home around midnight with a guy, tall, wearing a hoodie. Someone else says that's impossible, they were asleep. Memories start rewriting themselves in real time, every person becoming both witness and unreliable narrator. Detective Senior Constable Mark Daly arrives with the slow, heavy focus of a man who has learned that the first hours are the only hours that matter. He doesn't talk loudly. He doesn't posture. He stands in the doorway of the bedroom and lets the room tell him what it wants. He sees no forced entry. He sees the chain on the door. He sees the way the apartment is tidy, but not lived in tidy, curated tidy. He notes the absence of the obvious, no scattered jewelry, no open drawers, no signs of a frantic search. He notes what's present, a faint scent of cologne near the wardrobe that doesn't match any toiletries in the bathroom. A small indentation on the carpet, like a knee pressed down, held there. A strand of hair on the pillow that isn't Eliza's, too dark, too coarse. He looks at the window latch. Locked. He looks at the balcony door. Locked. He looks at the front door again, the chain that someone inside would have had to open, or someone Eliza trusted would have been allowed to close behind them. They canvass the building first, because killers love convenience. They talk to the manager. They talk to the neighbor. They talk to the guy on the ground floor who smokes on the back steps at all hours and hears everything. He says he heard a thump around 1 a.m., but he thought it was a drunk dropping a bottle. He says he heard a woman's laugh earlier, too, like someone trying to keep the night light. He says nothing sounded like a fight. Nothing sounded like fear. And that's the part that makes the detectives frown, because fear is loud. Fear bangs into walls. Fear breaks glasses. Fear leaves evidence in its wake. This scene is too quiet. Too composed. Like a hand over a mouth. By noon the rumor has already outrun the facts. A young woman dead in her apartment. No forced entry. No screaming. The words start assembling themselves into headlines. Mysterious death. No sign of struggle. Cold case in the making. The term cold case is premature, almost insulting in the first day, but people cling to it because it gives the horror a category, a shape. Unnamed terror is worse. Cold case is a box you can put it in, something you can say over your shoulder when you lock your own door a little faster. Eliza's last movements become a timeline built from scraps. She left work at 5:41 p.m., badge scanned at the office tower near Town Hall. She met friends at a bar in Newtown. There are receipts. 2 cocktails. A plate of fries. CCTV shows her laughing, head thrown back, the kind of laugh you can't fake. At 10:13 p.m., she and her friends split. She walks alone toward King Street, phone in hand, thumb moving, texting someone. At 10:27 p.m., a convenience store camera catches her buying a bottle of water and a pack of gum. She looks over her shoulder once, quick, automatic. At 10:54 p.m., her phone pings a tower near her apartment. After that, silence. No calls. No texts. No activity. Except the landline ringing in the morning, and that 11-second payphone call that nobody can yet explain. The bandmates arrive at the station with red eyes and defiance, ready to fight anyone who suggests Eliza was reckless. They insist she was careful. She walked with keys between her fingers. She didn't accept drinks from strangers. She didn't go home with random men. She had a habit of sending home as a final text when she locked her door. The detectives check her phone. That text isn't there. The last message she sent is to a contact saved as M, timestamped 10:49 p.m., you around. No reply. No call back. Just the message hanging like a hook in dark water. They ask who M is. The friends hesitate. They exchange glances that carry years of context. Finally someone says, it's complicated. The detectives don't like complicated. Complicated is where people hide. M could be a boyfriend. A fling. A dealer. A co-worker. A friend's friend. A stranger who became a habit. They pull the number. Prepaid. No subscriber details. The kind of phone you buy with cash, top up with cash, throw away when it gets inconvenient. A burner. The word lands in the room like a dropped coin. Burners belong in drug deals and cheating spouses and people who don't want to be found. Burners belong in cases that don't end cleanly. Daly goes back to the apartment with forensics. They dust every surface. They swab the sink. They pull the bedding. They lift the rug. They photograph the faint marks on her wrists and behind her ear. The pathologist will later call it asphyxia, but the cause of that asphyxia is the battlefield. Manual strangulation. Ligature. Smothering. In the report, the language is clinical, but the reality is intimate, close range, the kind of act that requires time and commitment. A crime of contact. A crime where the killer had to stay until it was done. They find no weapon. They find no note. They find no obvious trophy missing, no ring gone, no wallet taken. Her purse is on the chair by the door with cash still inside. Her laptop is untouched. The kind of scene that screams one word over and over, not robbery. So what is it? Rage? Control? Panic? An accident disguised? A stranger who got lucky? Someone she knew who didn't? Outside, the community tightens. Women walk in pairs. Men glance at shadows. The building installs new lights. The manager talks about upgrading locks. Everyone does the same small rituals of safety, as if ritual can rewrite what happened on that carpet beside a neatly made bed. News vans park on the street, long lenses aimed at windows, trying to capture grief through glass. A reporter describes Eliza as the promising young musician, and the phrase feels obscene, because it makes her a story instead of a person. Her parents arrive from the Central Coast with faces that look like they've been aged years in a day. They stand behind police tape, staring at the brick facade, searching for some crack that will reveal the truth. Then, that payphone call comes back into focus. 11 seconds. At 2:17 a.m., after Eliza's phone last pinged near home, after she should have been asleep. The call was made from a booth near a service station on Parramatta Road, a strip of late-night fluorescent light, and passing trucks, a place where footsteps don't stand out, because everything is moving. The number dialed is Eliza's landline. Not her mobile. Her landline. The kind of number you don't memorize unless you've been in that apartment, unless you've seen it written down, unless you're close enough to notice. The call doesn't connect long enough for conversation. It rings. It stops. It rings. It stops. 11 seconds isn't a call. 11 seconds is a test. A pulse check. A signal. Daly stares at the printout and feels something cold settle behind his ribs, because it suggests the killer, or someone involved, stood under harsh station lights and chose that number deliberately, and it suggests they had time, and it suggests they weren't in a hurry, and it suggests something worse than violence, confidence. Sydney keeps moving, because cities always do. Buses hiss at stops. Coffee machines scream. People complain about rent and traffic and summer heat. But in that brick walk-up, on that quiet hallway with the neatly placed shoes, the air doesn't forget. The neighbor later says she could still hear the phantom ring of the phone for weeks, as if the apartment itself had learned the sound of unanswered calls and decided to keep repeating it. And somewhere, in the sprawl of streets and service stations and late-night shadows, someone knows exactly what happened after 10:54 p.m., knows why the apartment was too clean, knows why the chain was set, knows why Eliza didn't send her last home text, and knows what those 11 seconds were meant to say, because 11 seconds is long enough to listen to a phone ring, long enough to imagine someone inside hearing it, long enough to smile in the dark and walk away. The detectives don't talk about fate, they talk about angles, because fate is what people say when they can't bear the idea that someone chose this, step by step, but Mark Daly keeps seeing those 11 seconds like a small, bright flame in the dark, too deliberate to be random, too clean to be an accident, and the first thing he does is send 2 uniforms straight to Parramatta Road before the traffic thickens and washes the night away, because service stations are honest that way, they remember everything in grainy frames and time stamps, even when witnesses forget. The attendant on the overnight shift is pale and irritated, the look of a man who's had too many coffees and too many drunks, and he shrugs like the whole world is a nuisance until Daly puts a photo of Eliza on the counter and watches the shrug collapse into something heavier, because even strangers recognize the kind of smile that shouldn't end on a bedroom carpet. "I didn't see her," the attendant says quickly, almost offended at the suggestion. "Just the usual. Trucks. Kids. Blokes on their phones." He points at the ceiling. "Cameras. Always cameras." And when they rewind the footage, the night becomes a black and white theater of small movements, headlights sliding through the forecourt, a man in a high-vis jacket buying cigarettes, a couple arguing beside a hatchback, Then, at 2:16 a.m., a figure steps into frame with the posture of someone trying to look like they belong. Hands deep in a hoodie pocket, head down, not rushing, but not lingering either. He is tall. That's all the footage really gives them. Tall and slim, face turned away, hood up despite the mild night. He walks to the payphone booth at the edge of the lot, the one nobody uses, because everyone has mobiles now, and he stands there like a silhouette cut from the darkness. The call starts. 11 seconds. He pauses, listening. His head tilts slightly as if he's hearing something on the other end, and that tilt is the first real human moment in the entire clip, the first hint that there's a mind behind the hoodie. Then he hangs up, steps back, looks over his shoulder toward the road, and for half a second his head shifts enough to show a cheekbone, the line of a jaw, but the camera is too far and the resolution too cruel, and the face stays anonymous. He walks away, not toward the pumps, not toward the store, but toward the footpath and the strip of darkness beyond the station lights, disappearing into Sydney like a drop of ink in water. Daly watches it twice, then a third time, because the brain keeps insisting it missed something, some telltale tick, some limp, some gesture that can be named, and the longer he watches the more it feels like the man in the hoodie is doing the watching back, aware of the camera, but unconcerned, as if being recorded is just another weather condition. They pull stills, enhance what they can, circulate them to patrols. Unknown male, the report will say, but the phrase is too soft. Unknown male is a whole universe of possibilities, with a woman's life inside it. Back at the apartment, forensics finishes speaking in their own quiet language, powders, swabs, fibers, microscopic scraps of other lives. On the bedside table they find a single blonde eyelash that doesn't match Eliza's dark lashes. In the bathroom bin, under the fresh liner, there's a twist of tissue wedged against the plastic, like someone missed it when they tried to reset the room. It's damp. It smells faintly of bleach and something else, sharper. When they test it, they find traces of skin cells, and beneath that, a smear of a cheap, synthetic fragrance that doesn't appear anywhere in Eliza's toiletries. Not hers. Not from a casual guest who used her soap. Something external, deliberate, the kind of scent you spray on a wrist before you go out, because you expect someone to smell you. Then there's the wrist mark. It isn't a bruise in the way people think of bruises. It's a band, faint at first, then deepening in post-mortem photographs, the outline of pressure held steady. Not a frantic grab. More like restraint. Eliza was small, but she wasn't fragile. The bandmates will later insist she could outshout anyone in a room, could fight a heckler into silence with words alone. If she was restrained, it suggests surprise, or trust, or a hand over the right place at the right time. It suggests the offender didn't need to smash the room to control her. Daly sits with the pathologist's preliminary notes and feels the case starting to shape itself, not into an answer, but into a set of doors, each leading somewhere darker. No forced entry. No theft. Controlled contact. A wipe down. A payphone call after the fact. A burner number labeled M. The investigation pivots on that letter like a compass needle. They take Eliza's phone to techs, who know how to coax ghosts out of silicon. Deleted messages. Cached data. The kind of digital residue people forget they leave behind. And what they find isn't a confession, it's a pattern. Eliza has been texting M for weeks. Short bursts. Late nights. Casual intimacy. No full names. No addresses. A rhythm that suggests secrecy, but not fear. There are messages where she jokes about him being paranoid, messages where he tells her to leave it, when she asks for details, messages where he says, "Don't use your mobile," and that line lands like a stone in Daly's stomach, because it ties straight to the payphone, straight to the old habits of people who think phones are betrayals waiting to happen. They subpoena tower data. They chart pings like constellations. MS, Burner moves like a shadow that avoids light, brief activations, short bursts, then off. But the night Eliza dies, it lights up more than usual. At 10:38 p.m., near Newtown. At 11:12 p.m., near Stanmore. At 12:03 a.m., near the Inner West Rail Corridor. Then nothing until 2:16 a.m. near Parramatta Road. That gap, that long silence between midnight and the payphone, becomes a canyon filled with possible things: travel, waiting, cleaning, thinking, deciding. Daly wants names. He wants the list of men in Eliza's orbit, because violence rarely appears out of nowhere. He interviews co-workers first. The office is all glass and fluorescent calm, the kind of place where people speak softly about deadlines and campaigns, and the news of Eliza's death has turned the air stale. Her supervisor is a woman who keeps blinking too fast, insisting Eliza was bright, reliable, everyone loved her, as if love is a shield. A male colleague admits he had a crush, then immediately denies it matters. Another colleague mentions Eliza had been stressed, that she'd taken calls in the stairwell, that she'd seemed distracted, but when pressed he can't give specifics. In every workplace there are secrets that look like nothing until a spotlight hits them. Then the band. Daly meets them in a rehearsal space that smells of sweat and amps and old beer soaked into concrete. Posters on the wall. Graffiti. A drum kit that looks like it survived a war. They speak about Eliza like she's still supposed to walk in late and laugh at them. One of them, a guitarist named Tessa, is angry enough to spit. She had a thing, Tessa says, and the way she says thing makes it clear she hates it. Some guy. Wouldn't tell us his full name. Wouldn't bring him around. Daly asks if this man ever came to gigs. Tessa shakes her head. He'd watch from the back. Hood up sometimes. Like he was allergic to being seen. Another bandmate, Ben, adds a detail that changes the temperature in the room: he gave her a phone. Said it was safer. Like, who does that? He acted like the world was out to get him. A phone. A burner. Gifted. Controlled. Daly asks if Eliza ever seemed afraid. They all say no. They say she was excited. Secretive, sure, but smiling, like a teenager with a crush. She said he had money, Ben says, then shrugs. Or he acted like he did. Tessa's eyes harden. Or he acted like he owned her. They track down Eliza's ex-boyfriend next, because exes are always on the list whether they deserve it or not. His name is Daniel Keane, 29, works in construction management, lives in a unit 2 suburbs away. He opens the door with red-rimmed eyes and the look of someone who hasn't slept since the news hit. He lets them in without hesitation, gives them his phone, his receipts, his timeline as if he's desperate to be cleared. He says they broke up months ago, amicable, just life, and he insists he hasn't seen her in weeks. His alibi for the night is solid: friends, bar staff, timestamps. The anger he shows isn't toward Eliza, it's toward whoever did this, and it's the kind of anger that feels real, because it has nowhere to go. Daly watches him carefully anyway. Real anger doesn't always mean innocence, but sometimes it does. By day 3, the media is sharpening its teeth. Mystery man. Secret boyfriend. Burner phone lover. The community begins to invent him in their heads, a faceless predator, who can be blamed without consequence, because he has no name. The police feel the pressure, the demand for certainty, the hunger for a villain who can be photographed in handcuffs. Daly hates that hunger, because it makes mistakes easier. It makes tunnel vision feel like justice. They run the payphone footage across databases. They ask other service stations for clips. They check transit hubs, because people move through Sydney like blood through veins. A camera at a nearby bus stop catches a similar figure at 2:32 a.m., hood up, walking with a quick, measured pace. Another camera outside a late-night kebab shop catches him earlier, around 1:18 a.m., buying nothing, just standing under the light, looking down the street, as if waiting for something or someone. In one frame his hand lifts to his face and there, for a heartbeat, the camera catches a glint on his finger. A ring. Plain. Metallic. Married. Engaged. Or just decoration. But it's something, and in a case built of shadows, something becomes everything. Daly goes back to the apartment one more time, not because he expects new evidence, but because places hold secrets the way bodies do. He stands in the hallway, and lets the silence press against his ears. He notices the small things you only see when you stop trying to see the big ones. A faint scratch near the front door lock, as if a key was forced or slipped. The door chain's bracket is slightly bent outward, like it took sudden pressure. Not enough to break. Enough to flex. He imagines Eliza opening the door to someone she recognizes, setting the chain the way people do when they want to feel safe without fully shutting someone out. He imagines the chain snapping tight as the door is pushed from the outside. He imagines Eliza's surprise, her hand on the door, her voice rising, the sudden realization that trust has been used against her. The bent bracket is tiny. It's also a scream. Then the lab calls. The tissue from the bathroom bin yields a partial DNA profile. Not enough to name someone immediately, but enough to say with confidence, male. And the eyelash. It belongs to a woman, and its DNA doesn't match any of Eliza's known contacts. That's when the case shifts again, because it suggests the apartment held more than 2 people at some point. Or it suggests the offender carried someone else's trace into the room, a secondary transfer that shouldn't matter, but does, because nothing is accidental in a clean scene. Someone wiped down surfaces, but missed the bin. Someone thought about fingerprints, but not eyelashes. Someone believed they were smarter than the room. The detectives start building a new list. Not just Eliza's men. Not just Eliza's secrets. But anyone who moves with that kind of caution. Anyone who gives burner phones like gifts. Anyone who insists on payphones in 2007 as if time stopped for them years ago. They reach out to task forces that handle organized crime, to units that know the language of paranoia. They ask if anyone in the city is using old-school methods, if anyone's been spotted hovering near gigs, if anyone has a reason to keep their identity locked away. And then, a call comes in from a woman who doesn't want her name on record. She says she saw him. She says she was driving home late that night, around 12:40 a.m., cutting through a side street near Eliza's building to avoid the main road, and she saw a man standing by the entrance, hood up, hand raised as if about to knock. She says he wasn't alone. There was a second person with him, shorter, hair light-colored, leaning against the wall like they were waiting together. She says she slowed down because something about them felt wrong, not violent, just wrong, like they were out of place in that quiet residential street. She says as her headlights swept over them, the taller one turned his face away sharply, and the shorter one didn't, and for a second she saw a profile, a pale cheek, hair tucked behind an ear, and she remembers thinking, that looks like a woman who knows how to keep secrets. Daly hangs up and stares at the map of the inner west pinned to the board, streets marked in red, timestamps like wounds, and he feels the case opening wider, not narrowing, because now M isn't just a man with a burner and a hoodie, now M could be a pair, a partnership, a double shadow moving through the city together, and if that's true, then the 11-second call isn't just a signal, it's coordination, it's choreography, it's 2 minds sharing a plan, and somewhere out there, under the noise of Sydney, there are 2 sets of footsteps that have never stopped walking. By the end of the first week the board in homicide is no longer a board, it's a wound made visible, photographs pinned like torn skin, lines of string pulled tight like nerves, and in the middle of it all there's one cheap letter, written in thick marker, as if making it bigger will make it talk, but the only thing it does is stare back, silent and smug, while the city outside keeps breathing, keeps laughing, keeps ordering coffees, unaware it's carrying a predator in its ribs. Daly doesn't chase ghosts with feelings. He chases them with patterns. So he goes where patterns come from, records, databases, the quiet archives where human mistakes are filed and numbered. Payphones, he learns, have their own life cycle. They light up in clusters around certain nights, after pub close, after a footy match, after a fight, when someone's mobile is smashed and pride won't let them borrow a friend's. But that 11-second call sits apart. It doesn't belong to a drunk. It doesn't wobble. It doesn't repeat. It's surgical. They pull the call logs for nearby booths, the whole strip along Parramatta Road, and they see something that makes the hair on the back of Daly's neck rise. In the month leading up to Eliza Ward's death, the same booth was used 3 times at odd hours, each time to call the same landline number, each time for under 20 seconds, each time ending before the call could be answered by voicemail. A test. A habit. A ritual. Not Eliza's landline. Another one. They trace it to a unit in Ashfield, a place with a dead lawn and drawn curtains. The registered tenant is an elderly man, long-term, no criminal history, barely leaves home. They knock. He opens the door slowly, eyes watery, smelling of menthol and loneliness. He says yes, that number is his. No, he doesn't use payphones. No, he doesn't know Eliza. He looks at her photo and his mouth drops open, like his face can't decide what emotion to land on. That's the girl, he whispers. That's the one who was here. Daly's voice stays calm, but every instinct in him steps forward. Here where? The old man gestures down the hall, toward a spare room. She came maybe a month ago. With a man. Tall. Quiet. He said she was his niece. They needed to use my phone, because their car broke down. He was polite. Too polite. Like a salesman. The old man rubs his hands together as he speaks, as if trying to erase the memory. She didn't say much. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She looked watched. Daly asks the question that matters. Did you hear them call anyone? The old man nods. He dialed a number from a little notebook. He read it off. He didn't look at a mobile. He wrote it down, like he didn't want it stored. A notebook. A landline. A man who doesn't trust phones. The city shifts under Daly's feet, because now the offender isn't just cautious, he's methodical across time. He rehearses. He uses strangers' houses as tools. He hides his trail behind the harmless, the invisible, the people nobody ever questions. They take a statement. They photograph the spare room. They swab the phone handset. The old man keeps apologizing like he invited the monster in himself. Daly tells him he didn't. He wants to believe it. The lab works through the night, because the case is hot and the phones won't stop ringing and the media is chewing the edges of everything. The swabs from the Ashfield phone yield trace DNA, too weak, too mixed, but there's something in it that matches the tissue from Eliza's bathroom bin. Male. Same partial profile. Not a full name, but a thread. A thread that suggests the man in the hoodie used that old man's phone and later stood under service station lights, and used a payphone, and then walked into Eliza's building like he belonged there. When Daly drives back to the station, Sydney's sky is a hard, bright blue, indifferent and clean. He sees couples holding hands at a crosswalk. School kids laughing on a bus. A tradie eating a meat pie with grease on his knuckles. The normal world. The world that trusts. He wonders how many times the offender has passed through this same normal world wearing the same calm mask, and how many doors have opened for him, because people assume monsters look like monsters. They circle back to the witness, who saw two people near Eliza's building. She agrees to meet at a cafe far from the inner west, far from the cameras, far from anything that might connect her to the word murder. Her hands shake so badly, she has to cup her mug with both palms. She repeats the story, slower this time, like her mind is stepping carefully across broken glass. Midnight-ish. A side street. A tall man and a shorter woman. The shorter one had light hair, maybe blonde, maybe dyed, maybe just washed by headlights. The tall one flinched from the light. The shorter one didn't. The shorter one looked composed. Daly asks what composed means. The witness frowns, searching for words. Like she wasn't scared, she says. Like she knew exactly where she was supposed to be. Exactly where she was supposed to be. Daly writes it down. Because killers don't just act. They arrange. They start pulling anyone with a connection to M through Eliza's texts, numbers that appear near his, tower clusters that overlap, devices that move in sync. It's the kind of work that fries your eyes, because it's just dots and lines noticeable only if you're obsessed enough to stare until meaning appears. And then meaning does appear, quiet at first, then undeniable. On 3 separate nights, MS burner pings near Newtown at the same time another prepaid number pings there too, always within minutes, always moving with it, always going dark when it goes dark. A pair. A shadow with 2 heads. They call it Device B, because giving it a name feels like giving it power. They track Device B's pattern. It likes late-night venues. It appears near live music. It appears near bars where people talk too loud and listen too little. It appears near the inner west rail line, like it's commuting through darkness. And then, 2 nights after Eliza dies, Device B lights up near Bondi. Bondi changes the case's flavor. Bondi is not quiet brick walk-ups and unglamorous streets. Bondi is ocean glare and tourists and bodies and loud daylight. Bondi feels too open for this kind of crime, too exposed. But that's exactly why Daly's gut tightens. People hide best in crowds that don't look twice. They send a team to canvas bars and hostels and late-night takeaway joints in Bondi, asking the same questions with the same practiced neutrality. Did you see a tall man in a hoodie? Did you see a shorter blonde woman with him? Did you see anything strange? Most people shrug. Most people laugh. Hoodie. In Bondi. Everyone wears hoodies. And then, in a small bottle shop near Campbell Parade, a clerk pauses, eyes narrowing. I remember a guy, he says. Bought a cheap bottle of vodka. Paid cash. Didn't speak. And a girl with him, hair light. She kept looking at the door like she was counting exits. Counting exits. That's not composed. That's controlled panic. That's someone trying not to show their hand. They pull CCTV from the bottle shop. It's clearer than the service station footage, closer, newer. The tall man's hood is down this time, but he keeps his face angled away from the camera. A practiced posture that makes Daly feel sick with admiration and disgust. The shorter woman stands half a step behind him. She wears a light jacket and sunglasses at night, ridiculous in a way that would be funny if it wasn't so chilling. She tucks her hair behind her ear and the camera catches the side of her face, sharp nose, pale skin, a small mole near the jawline. Not enough for a name. Enough for a hunt. Daly runs the image through the usual channels. No match. Not in driver's license photos. Not in criminal mugshots. Not in missing persons. A blank. A person who doesn't exist in the systems that are supposed to hold everyone. Either she's new to crime, or she's old at hiding. The team goes through Eliza's life again, looking for any mention of a woman. A jealous ex. A rival. A friend of a friend. Nothing obvious. But then a co-worker remembers something small, the kind of detail that doesn't matter until it does. There was a woman who called the office, the co-worker says. Asked for Eliza. Didn't give her name. Sounded calm. Like she knew we'd put her through. The receptionist confirms it. The call came 3 weeks before Eliza died. The woman left no message. Just asked for Eliza, listened to the receptionist say she was out, and hung up. 3 weeks before. A woman. Calm. No name. A phantom voice that now feels like a fingertip brushing the back of your neck. They pull the office phone logs. They trace the call to a public number, another payphone, this time near Central Station. Another booth, another deliberate choice. Daly stands in front of the Central Station payphone later that day and watches commuters surge past like a river, each person locked into their own urgency, and he imagines the shorter woman standing here. Sunglasses on, voice steady, dialing an office number she had no reason to know unless someone gave it to her. Unless someone planned. Planned. The case stops being about a night. It becomes about weeks, maybe months, of steps that led to that bedroom. Daly's team sits with the partial male DNA and tries to stretch it into a face. They push it through national databases. No hits. They try familial searches where allowed. Nothing. It's like the offender floated in from nowhere and will float away the same way. But the DNA is still a hook. It says the man touched something. It says he left himself behind in microscopic arrogance, no matter how carefully he wiped. Then the pressure arrives in the form of a meeting with command. Suits. Closed door. Coffee gone cold. They want progress. They want arrests. They want to tell the media they are close. Daly gives them the truth instead, and the truth has sharp edges. 2 devices moving together. 1 male, 1 female. Payphone habits. No forced entry. Clean scene. Partial DNA. They listen, grim, and the senior officer, at the head of the table, asks the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Could she have been targeted by someone involved in organized crime? Eliza Ward, a young woman who sang on sticky stages for beer money, targeted by organized crime. It sounds absurd. It also sounds like the kind of absurdity that becomes real when you see burner phones and payphones and rehearsals in strangers' spare rooms. Daly doesn't answer immediately, because he can feel how easily a theory like that can swallow a case whole, can turn a victim into a footnote in someone else's war. He says, carefully, it's possible. He hates that word. Possible is where monsters live. That night, the station gets a letter. Not an email. Not a call. A physical envelope, no return address, delivered through the front desk like any other piece of paper. Inside is a single photocopied page torn from a notebook, the kind with blue lines and cheap pulp, and on it is a list of phone numbers written in blocky handwriting. 10 numbers. Landlines. One is Eliza's. Another is the Ashfield old man's. 2 belong to businesses in Newtown, 1 a music venue, 1 a rehearsal studio. 1 belongs to a private residence in Marrickville. No message. No signature. Just numbers, like a menu. Daly holds the page and feels his pulse thump behind his eyes, because this is either a breakthrough or a trap, and both possibilities are poisonous. The handwriting is careful, not rushed. The photocopy is clean, made on a machine with a faint streak down the left margin. It smells like toner. Someone wanted the police to have this list, but didn't want to give away where it came from. Someone wanted to steer them. They run prints on the paper. Nothing usable. They examine the toner pattern, the streak, trying to identify the make of copier. Too common. Too many in Sydney. The numbers, however, are real. The Newtown venue confirms they received strange hang-up calls in the weeks leading up to Eliza's death. Short rings, no voice, always late. The rehearsal studio says the same. The Marrickville residence belongs to a young couple who swear they've never heard of Eliza, never used payphones, never done anything wrong, and yet their landline has been called, tested, tasted by someone who writes numbers down in a notebook like spells. Daly goes to the Marrickville address personally, because something about that number makes his gut itch. The couple lets him in. They are tired, frightened, confused. Their house is small, neat, ordinary. On the kitchen counter is a flyer for a missing cat. On the wall is a calendar with birthdays circled. Nothing criminal. Nothing dramatic. And then Daly sees the phone. A landline with a handwritten label stuck to the base, call diversion code. It's a note some people use for cheap call forwarding tricks, the kind that reroutes calls without leaving obvious traces. Daly stares at it, and the room seems to tilt. Call diversion isn't just a tool for convenience. It's a tool for misdirection. A way to make one number ring somewhere else. A way to test a line without showing your hand. A way to call Eliza's landline from a payphone and ensure it rings where you want, when you want, who you want listening. The couple says a friend set it up months ago, because their mobile reception was bad. They can't remember the friend's full name. He was a mate of a mate, the man says, rubbing his forehead. Tall guy. Quiet. Came with a woman. She did most of the talking. A tall guy. A woman who does the talking. Composed. Calm. Daly steps out into the Marrickville street, and the night air hits him like cold water. He looks at the row of houses, at the soft yellow squares of light behind curtains, at the way suburban calm can hide anything if you don't know where to look, and he feels, for the first time, like the case isn't chasing a murderer, it's chasing a system. Two people who understand how phones bend, how trust bends, how doors open when you push just right, and somewhere in that system is Eliza, caught at the center like a fly in silk, smiling in photographs, gone in reality, and the city keeps moving around the hole she left, as if it doesn't notice the darkness spreading. The moment Daly sees that handwritten note, call diversion code, it feels like someone has slipped a knife under the skin of the case and twisted, because it explains the odd rhythm of those hang-up calls, the obsessive testing, the way the offender seems to touch a place without being there, and it also means something worse. The killer didn't just walk into Eliza Ward's life, the killer engineered access, rewired the paths that voices travel, turned Sydney's ordinary phones into an invisible hallway that leads straight to a locked door. He doesn't drive back to the station right away. He stands on the footpath in Marrickville and watches a bus groan past, its windows full of tired faces staring at nothing, and he imagines how easy it is to hide in a city that's always looking through you. He pictures the tall man and the talkative woman stepping into this little house months ago like harmless friends of friends, smiling, being polite, carrying a cheap screwdriver and a pocket full of codes, and he pictures the couple letting them in because most people are built to trust until trust is punished. In the car, Daly calls the telecom liaison, a hard-eyed specialist who lives in the dull, technical underworld of exchanges and switches and line routing, the kind of person who can read a call record the way a detective reads blood spatter. Daly doesn't dress it up. I need to know how someone could make a payphone call ring a different house, he says, and I need it yesterday. The liaison sighs like he's been waiting for this problem his whole career. Call forwarding. Divert. The old codes. You can set it on the handset, if you have access. Or you can set it at the exchange if you know how to sweet-talk the right person. If they did it right, they can bounce calls like pinballs. Pinballs. That's what this case has been, calls bouncing, witnesses unsure, timelines shifting, everyone chasing a ball that keeps ricocheting away from where it should land. They start mapping the call chain like an autopsy. Eliza's landline rings, but does it ring in her apartment? Does it ring somewhere else first? The payphone call at 2:17 a.m., was it truly intended for Eliza? Or was it a check on the diversion, a way to see if the line was still live and waiting? The telecom team digs into the technical logs, the kind nobody looks at unless a court order forces eyes onto them, and the logs begin to talk in small, brutal truths. In the weeks before Eliza died, her landline had been set to divert to another number during late night hours, then set back. Off. On. Off. On. Like someone experimenting. Like someone practicing. The diverted to number belongs to a house in Dulwich Hill. Daly drives there with 2 detectives, daylight fading into that bruised orange that makes Sydney look cinematic and cruel. The house is modest, fibro exterior, a little garden that's been let go, weeds up to the knees like neglect has become a decision. The curtains are drawn even though the sun is still out. The mailbox is full. A place that looks abandoned but not officially dead. Daly knocks. No answer. He knocks again. Still nothing. They go around the side and find the meter box padlocked. The back gate is chained. Everything says, someone doesn't want visitors. They don't force entry yet. They do it the way the law likes. They check the registry. The house is owned by a woman named Kerry Sloan. 34. No recent utility payments. No current listed employment. No obvious footprint. But the name feels like a foothold. A person. A legal identity. Not just device B, not just sunglasses at midnight. And when Daly runs Kerry Sloan through police databases, it doesn't come back clean. It comes back thin, but sharp. A series of minor fraud charges in the early 2000s, dismissed, withdrawn, nothing that sticks. A restraining order filed by an ex-partner, later dropped. A note from a social worker about unstable living arrangements. Not homicide. Not violence. But the kind of paper trail that follows people who survive by bending rules. Daly looks at the house again, and thinks about bending. About phones bending. About doors bending. About a chain bracket in Eliza's apartment bent outward, just slightly, like the physical world itself had tried to resist and failed. They come back with a warrant the next morning, and the house opens like a mouth that has been shut too long. The air inside is stale, layered with dust and old cigarette smoke and something chemical, maybe hair dye, maybe cleaning product. Furniture sits under sheets. There are boxes stacked in corners, unlabeled. The kitchen sink is dry. The fridge is empty except for a single bottle of water and a jar of mustard. It doesn't feel lived in, it feels maintained, just enough to be usable. Like a safe house. Like a staging area. In the back room, they find it. A small desk with a landline phone and a notebook beside it. The notebook is cheap, blue-lined, and the pages are filled with numbers in blocky handwriting. Landlines. Payphones. Codes. Next to it is a photocopier, old, compact, the kind you'd pick up second-hand for cash. And on the floor beneath the desk is a crumpled sheet of paper, half torn, with the faint imprint of numbers that match the list sent to the station. Daly doesn't smile. He doesn't celebrate. He feels the case tighten around his throat, because this is no longer abstract. This is infrastructure. This is planning you can touch. They bag everything. The notebook. The phone. The copier. They photograph the room. They sweep for prints. In a bedroom closet they find women's clothing, jackets, scarves, sunglasses, wigs in plastic bags, like someone changes faces the way other people change shirts. There's a blonde wig. There's a brunette wig. There's a short bob. There's long hair. There's a bottle of hair dye, the same sharp chemical smell in the air. And in a showbox under the bed, wrapped in tissue, they find a ring, plain metal, scratched, cheap. It looks like the glint from the kebab shop camera. It looks like the tiny detail that stopped being tiny. In the same box is a keychain with multiple keys, labeled in thin marker, Ashfield, Marrickville, Stanmore. Addresses. Tools. Doors. Each label is a crime in ink. Daly feels his jaw clench. Because now the case isn't how. It's how many. How many doors? How many phones? How many lives brushed by these people before Eliza became the one that didn't get back up? They find no Kerry Sloan. No body. No living person. Just evidence of recent presence. A warm spot on the mattress as if someone slept there the night before. A cigarette, but in an ashtray still smelling faintly of saliva. A glass with a fingerprint smudge on the rim. The house is a stage left empty after the actors stepped out. But the lab has something new to chew. Fingerprints, latent and partial, pulled from the notebook cover, the phone base, the copier lid. Some are too smeared. Some are usable. They run them. They wait. The database hums and spits out its answer like a reluctant confession. One set of prints matches Kerry Sloan. Another set matches a man named Malcolm Vane. The name hits Daly like a blunt object, because it has weight. It has history. Malcolm Vane, 38, past convictions for aggravated burglary and assault. Not a petty offender. Not a harmless hustler. The kind of man who learns how to intimidate without shouting. The kind of man who knows how to put a hand on someone's wrist and make them stop fighting. The kind of man who understands that silence is a weapon. They pull Vane's mugshot. Heavy brow. Narrow eyes. A face that looks like it was carved from old anger. Daly compares it to the blurry payphone stills, to the service station footage, to the kebab shop frame where the hood shifted just enough, and the shapes begin to align. Not perfectly. Nothing is perfect in CCTV. But the jawline, the posture, the way the shoulders sit as if built for pushing through resistance, it's close enough to make a room go quiet. They locate Vane's last known address. A unit in Campsie. He isn't there. Neighbors say he moved out months ago. Some say he left in a hurry, others say they never noticed him at all. That's what men like Vane are good at, being nothing until they are everything. Daly's team fans out. They hit old associates. They pull parole records. They talk to a former cellmate who laughs too loud and says, "Mal's not dumb," like it's a compliment. They ask about Kerry Sloan. No one can catch what they can't see. Daly hears it later in his own head while he's trying to sleep, and it feels like the offender is speaking through someone else's mouth. They run Kerry Sloan's history deeper. Her fraud cases, the restraining order, the vanished utilities. They find an old photo on a file from a decade ago, grainy, printed, the kind of thing you'd staple to paperwork and forget. Kerry is younger, but the shape of her face is the same. Sharp nose. Pale skin. A small mole near the jawline. The sunglasses at night woman stops being a ghost and becomes a person with a name, a record, and hands that can write phone numbers neatly in block letters. Daly calls the witness from the side street and shows her Kerry's photo. The witness's face drains. She nods once, slow, as if even nodding hurts. "That's her," she whispers. "That's the woman. Now they have a pair, Kerry Sloan and Malcolm Vane. And the city suddenly feels smaller, not safer, smaller, like the walls are closing in. They issue a bolo. They circulate images. They warn patrols to consider them dangerous. They talk to media carefully, because you don't want to spook people who already live on the edge of disappearing. But the media smells blood anyway, and soon the names leak, and then strangers start calling in with tips that range from useless to chilling. Someone claims they saw Kerry at a supermarket in Bankstown. Someone claims Malcolm threatened them years ago. Someone says a blonde woman tried to sell them a phone outside a pub. Someone says a tall man in a hoodie asked for directions to an apartment building at midnight, and didn't blink when told it was a dead end. Amid the noise, one call stands out. A woman from Ashfield, different from the old man, says she remembers a couple who knocked on her door months ago asking to use her phone. She describes Kerry with uncanny accuracy, pale, calm, smiling too much. She describes Malcolm as the quiet one, the one who stood slightly behind, letting Kerry speak, but watching everything with eyes that didn't soften. I said no, the woman says, voice tight with regret. I shut the door. And later that night my landline rang 3 times, short rings, like someone tapping on glass. Daly listens and sees the method. Kerry warms the world up with charm, Malcolm applies pressure. Kerry opens doors. Malcolm closes them. They start connecting other incidents, because once a pattern has a name, other patterns come running to join it. A man in Leach Hart reported being followed home from a bar weeks before Eliza died. He found his phone line acting strange afterward, calls dropping, static like whispers. A woman in Petersham reported a blonde stranger asking to borrow her phone outside a station, then vanishing when the woman hesitated. A rehearsal studio owner in Newtown remembers a tall man standing near the back, never clapping, never cheering, just watching the band, and a blonde woman stepping out to make a call on a payphone across the street like it was 1985 and nobody could tell her otherwise. Each memory is a shard. Each shard cuts. Daly goes back to Eliza's apartment with fresh eyes and a new, grim vocabulary. If Kerry and Malcolm were engineering calls, then the 2:17 a.m. payphone call might not have been to Eliza at all. It might have been to the Dulwich Hill line, the one that diverted. A test to see if their trap still held. If Eliza's apartment was a node, then the killer could have been listening to a different phone, in a different room, monitoring rings like signals, coordinating movement like chess. They pull more logs. The telecom liaison confirms it in a voice that sounds like he wishes he didn't have to. On the night Eliza died, her landline was set to divert to the Dulwich Hill number from 11:30 p.m. until 3 a.m. During that window, any call to Eliza's landline would ring in Dulwich Hill, including the payphone call. Which means at 2:17 a.m., Malcolm Vane might have been standing at the service station not calling Eliza, but calling Kerry, or calling their own listening post, checking whether someone, police, a neighbor, Eliza herself, had changed the line. And if it rang as expected, the offender knew the world remained obedient. It's cold. It's brilliant. It's terrifying. The lab finishes processing the Dulwich Hill house and hands Daly the kind of evidence that makes the room feel smaller. On a pair of sunglasses found in a drawer, they recover Kerry's DNA. On the inside of a hoodie found in a laundry basket beneath a pile of sheets, they recover Malcolm's. And on the cuff of that hoodie, mixed with the fibers, is a trace of DNA that matches Eliza Ward. Not enough to write a neat story. Enough to make a jury lean forward. Enough to make a detective's blood turn to ice, because it suggests the offender carried her on his clothing, a microscopic souvenir of contact, whether from the struggle, from carrying her, from leaning over her while the room stayed quiet. Daly stares at the report and thinks about Eliza's clean hands, her intact nails, the absence of chaos, and he imagines a scenario where Kerry talks her down, keeps her calm, keeps her voice soft, while Malcolm positions himself in the narrow hallway, while the chain is set, while the door bracket bends, while Eliza realizes too late that the people she let in are not there to leave. He doesn't let himself imagine more than that. Imagination is where sleep dies. They widen the net. Kerry's known contacts. Malcolm's associates. Cash withdrawals. Petrol purchases. Toll records. The trail is thin because thin is how they live. But then a break arrives from the most mundane place. A hotel register in Wollongong, scrawled in hurried ink. 2 guests, 1 room, paid cash. The names are fake, but the handwriting on the check-in card matches the blocky notebook writing from Dulwich Hill. Kerry's hand. The date, 2 days after Eliza's death. Wollongong is a straight shot down the coast, easy to vanish into, easy to regroup. Daly feels the case pivot again, not toward comfort, but toward movement. Because if they fled south, they could be anywhere now, up the coast, out west, across state lines. And every hour that passes is another hour for them to change hair, change names, change phones, change the shape of their shadow. Sydney keeps glittering in the sun, indifferent, while Daly's team prepares for the next push, because now the case has what it needed from the beginning, not just a dead woman and a locked door, but living, breathing suspects with a system, a safe house, a notebook of numbers, and a habit of bending the invisible threads that connect strangers, and somewhere in that web, Eliza Ward's last night still sits like a trapped heartbeat, waiting to be heard clearly, waiting for the moment when the city stops looking through the offenders and finally sees them. Wollongong isn't far, but it's far enough for a pair like this to breathe, far enough for Sydney's sirens to fade into ocean wind and for a motel corridor to feel like a clean slate. And when Daly holds that check-in card under the harsh station light, he can almost see Kerry Sloane's hand moving block letters. Steady pressure, no flourish. A person who writes like she's filing paperwork for the end of someone's life, because handwriting is a fingerprint you can't wash off, not completely, not when you've been using it to build a private map of doors and phones. They drive down the Prince's Highway in a convoy that doesn't look like a convoy, unmarked cars spread out, radios low, each officer tasting the same bitter thought. 2 days after Eliza Ward died, Kerry and Malcolm were still moving together, still sleeping behind locked doors, still drinking water from someone else's bottle, still making decisions in the dark while the city screamed for answers. Wollongong greets them with steel-grey morning and gulls wheeling like scavengers. The motel sits near the edge of town, sun-faded signage, a car park stained with oil, the kind of place that doesn't ask questions, because questions are bad for business. The manager is a thin man with a mustache that looks glued on. He keeps saying, "I don't remember," until Daly lays the photocopy of the check-in card on the counter and the manager's eyes flick down, then away, because he does remember, he remembers the feeling of them, and feelings are harder to deny than facts. "Paid cash," he mutters. "Didn't want a receipt." Daly asks about the woman. The manager scratches his neck. "Pretty," he says, then realizes how stupid that sounds and corrects himself. "Normal." She smiled. But she didn't smile with her eyes. Daly doesn't react, because he's heard that exact sentence too many times already. He asks about the man. The manager exhales. "He watched," he says. Like he was waiting for someone to run at him. They pull the room number. 14, end unit. Of course. End units have fewer neighbors, fewer shared walls, fewer chances for someone to hear a muffled voice. They walk the corridor, boots soft on concrete, the air smelling of bleach and damp carpet. Room 14's door is closed now, another guest's name on the register, but the room holds the shape of what happened if you know how to look. The housekeeper remembers them. She says the woman asked for extra towels. The man asked for nothing. She says the woman left a tip, cash, folded neatly. "Like she wanted me to like her," the housekeeper says, voice pinched. Like she wanted to be remembered as nice. Nice. That's what predators borrow when they need the world to open. Crime scene techs go in anyway, even though it's days later, even though the room has been turned over. They peel back the thin layers of motel life, fresh sheets, sprayed deodorizer, vacuum tracks, and search for the residue that careful people miss. They find it in the corner of the bathroom bin, a torn foil backing from a prepaid SIM card pack. They find it under the bed, a single cigarette, but with lipstick-smudged paper, Kerry's brand, according to the ashtray in Dulwich Hill. They find it on the bedside table, a faint fingerprint on the underside of the lamp switch, because people touch light when they're tired and tired makes you sloppy. The fingerprint comes back partial but promising. It matches Kerry Sloan again. The cigarette yields DNA. Kerry. The SIM foil yields nothing, but it tells Daly what he already suspected. They didn't just run, they refreshed. New number, new ghost, new way to speak without being heard. Daly stands in that motel room and lets the place talk. It's cramped, impersonal, the walls decorated with a cheap print of a beach that looks nothing like any beach in real life. He imagines Kerry sitting on the bed, phone in hand, Malcolm pacing near the door, listening for footsteps. He imagines their conversation, low and clipped, two people who don't waste words on morals because morals don't keep you alive. He imagines Kerry laughing softly at something Malcolm says, then stopping abruptly, because laughing in the wrong moment can feel like an admission. He imagines Malcolm's hand tightening around a key, a habit of readiness. And he imagines, under all of it, the presence of Eliza, a name they might have said like a joke, like a problem, like a casualty of their system. The motel lead isn't the arrest Daly needs. It's proof of life after the murder. Proof that the suspects didn't fall off the earth, they just stepped into a new costume. That proof is enough to trigger something else. A quiet flood of warrants, phone companies forced to cooperate, banks forced to open records, toll operators forced to hand over their secret web of number plates and timestamps. They start with toll roads. Even people who pay cash for rooms can't always avoid cameras. Cars are a weakness. Cars leave traces. By late afternoon the toll data forms a thin line, two vehicles traveling down the M1 toward Wollongong around the time of the motel check-in. One is a white Toyota Corolla, plate partially obscured, but readable enough. The other is a dark Ute, plate clean. They cross-reference. The Corolla is registered to a rental company in Mascot, hired with a driver's license in the name of Kerry Sloan. She used her real name. That's the kind of mistake that makes detectives hungry, because it means either she felt safe or she felt untouchable. Neither is comforting. They pull the rental agreement. They pull the copy of the license. The photo matches Kerry. The signature matches the notebook. They pull the listed address. It's a mailbox service near Central. A dead end dressed up as an address. But the rental paperwork includes a contact number. A mobile. Probably prepaid. They run it anyway. It has no subscriber info. Of course. But it has tower pings. And the pings tell a story with a pulse. The number was active near Newtown on the night Eliza died, then near Dulwich Hill, then south to Wollongong, then, 3 days later, back in Sydney, hovering near Parramatta Road again, near the same strip of payphones like a familiar altar. Daly feels his teeth grind. Because returning isn't necessary unless you left something unfinished. Returning is arrogance. Returning is checking the lock after you've already left the house on fire. They canvass Parramatta Road with renewed fury. More CCTV. More service stations. More late-night shops. A small kebab place hands over footage that shows a woman with light hair, wig, maybe, but still light, buying water at 1:40 a.m., glancing up at the camera and then away, as if she knows exactly where its blind spot is. A taxi camera shows a tall man in the back seat, hood up, speaking into his sleeve like he's hiding a MIC. They trace the cab's pickup and drop off. The cab dropped him near a cluster of warehouses in Homebush. Warehouses mean space. Space means things can happen out of sight. They hit Homebush the next day. Industrial streets. Roller doors. The smell of oil and dust. The kind of area that empties at night and becomes a playground for anyone who prefers no witnesses. They knock on doors. Most businesses are legitimate, bored, irritated by police presence. A mechanic says he saw a woman renting a storage unit a month ago. Blonde, he says, then shrugs. Or pretending. Daly asks which facility. The mechanic points down the street. Blue roller door place, he says. She paid cash. Came with a tall bloke who didn't talk. Cash. Tall bloke. Woman who talks. The pattern repeats like a chorus. The storage facility manager is cooperative in the way people become cooperative when they sense danger has passed through their building. He pulls records. The unit is under a false name, but the CCTV at the gate shows them clearly enough this time that Daly's skin prickles, Carrie in a baseball cap, hair tucked away, sunglasses despite the overcast, Malcolm behind her carrying a duffel bag that sags with weight. They enter. The timestamp says 9:13 p.m. on the night before Eliza died. They exit 20 minutes later. Carrie wipes her hands on a tissue as she walks, a casual gesture that feels obscene now. They get a warrant and open the unit. Inside is not a treasure trove. It's something colder. A folding table. A cheap chair. A second-hand laptop. A stack of blank SIM card kits. A small printer. A roll of duct tape still wrapped in plastic. A pair of latex gloves. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Practical. A kit. A workplace for people whose job is to vanish and take pieces of others with them. In a plastic tub, they find more wigs, more sunglasses, more clothing in neutral colors, grays, blacks, blues, clothes that don't turn into memories. And at the bottom of the tub, wrapped in a towel, there's an object that makes the room go still, a silver Nokia phone with a cracked corner. Eliza's phone. Daly stares at it like it's a body. This is the first time the case gives him something undeniably intimate, something that belonged to her, and should have been bagged at her apartment, but wasn't because it wasn't there. Meaning someone removed it. Meaning someone wanted control over her last words, her last contacts, her last digital breath. The phone is powered off. The SIM is missing. The battery is intact. The screen is dark and accusatory. They bag it like it's radioactive. The techs later pry into it carefully and recover fragments, drafts of messages Eliza never sent, half-written thoughts that end mid-word, a photo taken accidentally, just blur and darkness, and a flash of fabric, timestamped 12:08 a.m. on the night she died. The blur could be a sleeve. A hoodie. The fabric is dark, the weave tight. The image is almost nothing. Almost. But almost is the currency of cold cases. In the same storage unit, taped under the folding table, they find a folded piece of paper. It's a list again, numbers and names. But these aren't landlines. These are women's names. First names only. Dates. Suburbs. Notes in the margins like a twisted diary. Likes live music, walks alone, works late, no boyfriend, divert set. Daly's throat tightens. Because Eliza is not the beginning. Eliza might not even be the intended end. This is a hunting list. He takes the paper outside into daylight, and the sun feels wrong on his face. He reads the names again. Some are crossed out. Some have question marks. One has a star next to it, and beside the star is written, in the same blocky hand, E. Newtown. Confirmed. Confirmed. It's not just murder. It's selection. It's process. Kerry and Malcolm aren't improvising. They're running a system where people are reduced to notes and routes and vulnerabilities. A system where a diverted phone line is as important as a human heartbeat. The case escalates internally. More resources. More officers. More urgency. But urgency is a double-edged blade. It cuts through red tape, and it cuts through patience. The media frenzy spikes when rumors leak that Eliza's phone has been found. Breakthrough, headlines scream. Suspects identified, they shout. The public wants faces, names, an ending. They don't want the truth that endings are rare. Daley doesn't sleep. He starts seeing Kerry's calm eyes in reflections, Malcolm's hunched posture in strangers on the train. He walks into rooms and instinctively checks corners. That's what cases like this do. They teach you to distrust the ordinary. They start hunting their next move, because people with a system don't just stop. The list suggests targets. The names become alarms. The team quietly contacts the women they can identify, warns them, asks questions that make their stomachs drop. Some laugh nervously. Some cry. Some refuse to believe they were ever on a list. One woman, name on the paper, suburb scribbled beside it, goes pale and says she remembers a blonde woman asking to borrow her phone outside a bar months ago. She was so nice, the woman whispers, and the word nice sounds like a curse now. Late one night, a patrol unit spots the white rental Corolla near a strip of shops in Bankstown. The officers follow at a distance, adrenaline high, hands ready. The Corolla turns into a side street, slows, then accelerates hard as if the driver sensed the tail. The chase is short and vicious, tires screaming, headlights bouncing. The Corolla runs a red light and vanishes into a tangle of streets. By the time police catch up, the car is abandoned in a cul-de-sac, doors open, engine still ticking, the smell of hot metal rising into the night. They search the area with dogs. They find nothing but backyards and fences and the quiet breathing of sleeping suburbs. Kerry and Malcolm are gone again, evaporated between streetlights, leaving only the empty car like a taunt. Inside the Corolla, though, there's one more message from the system, one more artifact of their minds. In the glove box, beneath the registration papers, Daley finds a small envelope with a single photo inside. It's not a photo of Eliza. It's a photo of Daley. Taken from a distance. Grainy. Daley walking out of the Dulwich Hill house, notebook bagged under one arm, face turned toward a colleague. The timestamp in the corner is from 2 days ago. Daley feels his pulse jump. The room tightens. Officers around him go quiet, as if the photo has sucked air from the world. Because this isn't just evidence. This is surveillance. This is Kerry and Malcolm saying, "We see you." On the back of the photo, in blocky handwriting, are 3 words that hit like a slap: "Stop calling the lines." Daley stares at the message, and suddenly the entire case feels inverted. It isn't just that they've been chasing the suspects. The suspects have been watching the chase, monitoring police pressure the same way they monitored diverted landlines, measuring response times, testing how hard the world pushes back. The offenders aren't running blind. They're adapting, adjusting their system in real time. He thinks of the bent chain bracket again, that tiny sign of pressure. He thinks of Eliza's clean hands, the quiet room, the bleach smell. He thinks of Kerry's calm voice calling Eliza's office weeks before, a soft probe. He thinks of Malcolm in the payphone booth, head tilted, listening. And he realizes something that makes his stomach hollow. They don't just want to get away. They want to control the narrative. They want to decide what the police know, when they know it, and how it looks when the world finally learns the truth. Daley pockets the photo like it's a threat pressed into paper, and he looks out at the cul-de-sac, at the dark houses and the neat lawns and the sleeping families who don't know two predators just ran through their street like smoke, and he feels rage rise in him, hot and clean, because Eliza Ward was real, and she laughed, and she had music in her room, and she trusted someone enough to open a door. And now the people who took her are leaving messages like they're writing a script. The city hums on, indifferent, but Daley's team doesn't. They tighten the net. They watch the payphones. They watch the storage facilities. They watch the women whose names were on that list. And somewhere in Sydney, Kerry Sloan and Malcolm Vane are watching too, reading the city like a circuit diagram, choosing their next move, deciding whether to vanish forever, or to do something worse, something loud, something that forces the world to look straight at them, because when predators start photographing detectives, the hunt stops feeling like pursuit and starts feeling like a countdown. The photo sits in Daley's pocket like a live ember, warming through fabric, burning through calm, and by the time he's back in homicide the building feels different, as if every corridor has grown ears, as if every ringing phone might be another 11-second test, because now the case has crossed a line most killers avoid, the line where they stop hiding from the investigators and start shaping them, pulling them like wires, making them react on command. He pins the photo on the board without ceremony, no dramatic flourish, just a hard slap of paper against cork, and the room goes quiet as the message on the back is read aloud. Stop calling the lines. It's not a plea. It's not a warning for their own safety. It's a declaration that the suspects know exactly which levers the police are pulling, which numbers they are tracing, which traps they are laying, and it's a reminder of the central horror of this case. Kerry and Malcolm don't just attack bodies, they attack systems. They slip into networks and bend them until the world behaves the way they want. Daley's boss wants to go public with it, to scare them, to force a mistake, but Daley shakes his head, because he knows how people like this feed. Publicity gives them oxygen, and oxygen makes fire spread. Instead, he tells the team to change everything, new numbers, new routines, no more obvious calls to landlines they suspect are tapped or diverted. They switch to face-to-face meets, handwritten notes, burner phones of their own, the strange irony of police adopting the very habits they are hunting, because to catch a shadow you sometimes have to become one. The telecom liaison confirms what Daley already suspects. If Kerry and Malcolm were sophisticated enough to manipulate call diversion, they could be listening for certain patterns, repeated calls, blocked numbers, the tonal fingerprints of police testing lines. They could be set up to alert themselves when pressure hits. Daley imagines a little phone in a dull room somewhere ringing once, twice, 3 times, an alarm disguised as noise, and Kerry glancing up with that calm face, turning to Malcolm and saying, "They're close." He imagines Malcolm's jaw tightening, the way a man tightens when he decides whether to run or to strike. They need a trap that doesn't ring. They start with Kerry's habits, because Kerry is the mouth. Kerry is the one who borrows phones and talks to receptionists, and smiles at motel managers, and leaves tips like a signature. They pull every CCTV scrap again, every shop front, every petrol station, every late-night takeaway where her face might have been caught in a moment of human carelessness. They build a timeline not of a murder, but of movement, where she likes to recharge, where she buys water, where she changes wigs, where she feels comfortable enough to exist. A pattern emerges like bruising under skin. Kerry lingers around certain places where anonymity is easy and cash is king: laundromats, 24-hour supermarkets, pawn shops, internet cafes. And always, she keeps proximity to payphones, as if the city's modern veins disgust her and she prefers the old bones, the metal booths that can't store your contacts, can't betray you with metadata the way a mobile can. So they put eyes on payphones. Not uniformed, not obvious. Plainclothes officers in bland cars, watching booths that nobody else cares about, drinking bad coffee, staring at chipped plastic handsets like they're portals. It feels ridiculous and it feels necessary. Daly hates the waiting. Waiting is when cases die. Waiting is when killers breathe. On the fourth night, near a booth outside a closed pharmacy in Strathfield, one of the watchers stiffens as a woman steps into the cone of streetlight. She's in a hoodie, hair tucked up, face partially hidden by a scarf despite the mild air. She walks like she knows exactly where the camera blind spots are. She doesn't linger. She steps into the booth, lifts the handset, dials from memory, and for a brief second she turns her head, as if listening to something not on the line, but in the air around her. The watcher raises a camera, snaps a frame, and his stomach drops, because even in the grain of night photography, he can see that small mole near the jawline. Carrie. The officer murmurs into his mic, voice tight. Daly is already moving, already in a car that doesn't look like a car, sliding into traffic with lights off, letting adrenaline thicken his blood. He knows this could be the first clean chance to grab her. He also knows this could be a law, because a woman who photographs detectives isn't careless enough to stand under a streetlight without a reason. By the time Daly arrives, Carrie is already leaving the booth, walking fast, not running, as if running would admit fear. She crosses the road without looking, steps into an alley beside a row of dark shops, and vanishes into the narrow shadow between brick and dumpster. Daly's team converges. They move in quiet bursts, boots soft, hands near holsters, breath held. They turn the corner. And the alley is empty. No doors open. No footsteps. No rustle of clothing. Just a faint smell of cheap perfume lingering like the last note of a song. There's no way out except the way in, and yet she's gone, as if the city swallowed her. Daly stands there and feels something cold unfold inside him, because this is what predators do when they are confident. They prove they can be seen and still not caught. They taunt you with presence and then remove it, teaching you helplessness. He looks at the brick walls and the bins and the oily puddles, and he notices a small object glinting near the dumpster. A coin. No, a SIM card, snapped cleanly in half, thrown away like a shed skin. Back at the booth, they pull the payphone's outgoing call log. Daly realizes, too late, what he stepped into. Carrie didn't vanish. Carrie moved them. She pulled them into an alley to waste time while Malcolm, somewhere else, listened to the police response through diverted lines and baby monitors, and whatever other cheap circuitry they've turned into surveillance. The case isn't a chase. It's a chess match where the opponents aren't playing on the same board. They sweep the shop front anyway. In the corner they find a small pile of torn paper, numbers again, scribbled, then ripped as if someone panicked and tried to destroy them, but not fast enough. One scrap contains a name, Tessa. Daly's mind snaps to the band rehearsal room, the angry guitarist who talked about the secret man. Tessa is not just a witness anymore. She's a potential target, written down like prey. He calls patrols. He calls Tessa. No answer. He calls again. Straight to voicemail. His pulse spikes. He doesn't waste time with more calls. Calls are how Carrie and Malcolm see you coming. He drives. The rehearsal space is dark when Daly arrives, the roller door down, the street quiet. He bangs on the metal. No response. He circles to the side entrance and finds it ajar, the latch forced, that same subtle bend of metal that now feels like a signature. Inside, the air smells wrong. Not blood. Something sharper. Gasoline. Out. Daly shouts, voice ripping through the stillness, and his team moves without thinking now, instincts taking over. They retreat, dragging the door wider, scanning corners. A moment later, a muffled whomp rolls out from inside, not a full explosion, just a hungry bloom of fire catching somewhere within, and smoke begins to curl from the seams like black fingers. The fire brigade arrives fast, but fire is a thief, it takes evidence first. When they finally push through and douse it, the inside is ruined, amps melted, cables fused, posters charred into ash. And in the back room, where the band keeps their gear, they find a message sprayed on the wall in thick black paint, letters tall and blunt, almost childish. You watch. We listen. Tessa is not there. No body. No blood. No clear sign she was taken. But her phone is on the floor near the entrance, smashed into pieces, as if someone wanted the only modern tether she had to die. The bandmates arrive screaming her name, faces twisted with terror and rage, and Daly stands in the wet ash and feels the case tip into a new level of personal, because now Kerry and Malcolm aren't just covering their tracks. They're striking back at the orbit of the investigation, turning witnesses into pressure points. Hours later, Tessa is found. Not dead. Not missing. Alive, barefoot, sitting on a curb 3 suburbs away, trembling so hard her teeth chatter. A couple found her wandering, dazed, as if her mind is lagging behind her body. She doesn't remember how she got there. She remembers a woman's voice, calm, close, telling her to breathe. She remembers a man behind her, silent. She remembers the smell of perfume and then gasoline. She remembers someone lifting her wrist and tightening something around it, not rope, not cuffs, something soft and deliberate, like fabric. I couldn't move, she whispers at the hospital, eyes blank with shock. Like my arms belonged to someone else. Daly asks the question he's afraid to hear answered. Did they say anything about Eliza? Tessa's eyes flick to him, and for a moment she looks like she might vomit. She said Tessa's voice cracks. She said Eliza was confirmed. Like she was a box they ticked. Like Eliza was a task. A task. A word that makes murder sound like admin. Tessa also remembers one more detail, small and poisonous. The woman had gloves, she says. But she took one off when she lit the match. Just for a second. And I saw her hand. She had a scar between her thumb and finger, like a burn. Daly writes it down. Scar between thumb and forefinger. It's the kind of thing that could be nothing. It's also the kind of thing that can become everything. The next days blur into aggressive motion. They link Kerry's scar to an old file. One of her fraud charges involved a minor fire incident in a rental unit years back. A kitchen blaze, nothing dramatic, but the report notes a burn treated at an emergency department. The hospital records confirm it. Kerry Sloan, early 20s, burn on the webbing of her hand. The scar Tessa saw is real. The ghost now has a distinguishing mark. They put her image everywhere internally. They run her through facial recognition systems that are crude in 2007, but hungry. They watch hospital errors, because burn scars and stress lead to medical needs. They monitor pawn shops for wig sales, chemists for hair dye, storage facilities for cash payments. They build a net with thousands of knots, and still the fish slides through. Then, one night, a patrol car in the west spots a man matching Malcolm Vane's description stepping out of a late-night servo near Blacktown. Tall. Heavy shoulders. Hood up. He looks at the patrol car and doesn't flinch, just turns, walks toward a dark sedan parked out of camera view. The officers follow, lights off, hearts pounding. The sedan pulls out slowly, then accelerates hard, and suddenly the streets become a corridor of sirens and speed, tires screaming, the chase ripping through sleepy suburbs like a wound reopening. The sedan cuts through an industrial area, taking turns too fast, bouncing over potholes. Ahead, a boom gate blocks a construction site. The sedan doesn't slow. It hits the gate, crunching metal, and bursts into the site like an animal panicking. The car skids, clips a pile of gravel, and slams into a temporary fence with a howl of twisting steel. Officers flood in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The driver's door is open. But the driver is gone. Only the passenger remains, slumped, unconscious, blood on the forehead. A woman. Light hair, wig slipping crooked. Sunglasses cracked. Carrie Sloan. For a single, electric moment, the case feels like it might finally snap shut. Daly arrives at the site as paramedics lift her, and he looks down at her face, really looks, and feels something almost like relief, because monsters are easier to deal with when they have cheekbones and breath and wrists you can cuff. But Carrie's eyes flutter open in the ambulance, and she smiles. Not warm. Not friendly. A small, calm curve of the mouth, as if she's amused by the whole scene. She says nothing for a long time, letting the silence stretch, forcing everyone else to fill it with their own fear. Then, just as the doors are about to close, she turns her head slightly toward Daly and speaks in a voice so even it could be a receptionist's. "You're late," she says. Daly's gut drops. Because late means she expected this. Late means Malcolm planned for this moment and moved his pieces accordingly. Late means Carrie being caught might be part of the system, a sacrificial pawn to buy time, to divert attention, to pull resources to one place while Malcolm slips away through another. At the hospital, Carrie refuses to give her real name even though they have it. She refuses to answer questions. She requests a lawyer with a kind of bored patience that makes every officer want to shake her. Her prints, her DNA, her notebook handwriting, none of it matters in an interview room if she won't speak and if Malcolm remains free. The prosecutor warns Daly that without Malcolm, without direct evidence linking Carrie to the act in Eliza's bedroom, the case will be hard. Hard means risk. Risk means she could walk. Daly sits outside the interview room, watching Carrie through the one-way glass. She sits upright, hands folded, gaze steady, like she's waiting for a bus. Her burn scar is visible when she adjusts her sleeve, a pale mark on pale skin. Daly thinks about Eliza's clean hands and the quiet room and the bleach smell, and he wonders if Carrie sat with Eliza too, speaking softly, keeping her calm, while Malcolm did the brutal, silent work. Across the city, Malcolm Vane is gone. The dark sedan is registered to a fake identity. The plates are swapped. Inside the car they find a cheap radio scanner and a crumpled map with routes marked in pen, back streets, alleyways, places without cameras. They find a second envelope in the glove box, and inside is another photo. Not of Daly this time. Of Eliza's parents, standing behind police tape on the first day, faces broken open by grief. On the back, in the same blocky handwriting, are words that turn Daly's stomach to stone. She opened the door. It's not confession. It's blame. It's the oldest cruelty, telling the victim's family that their daughter's trust was the weapon used against her, as if trust is a crime. Daly stares at the photo until the edges blur, because Carrie is sitting behind glass with a lawyer on the way, Malcolm is somewhere out in the sprawling dark with a head start and a system, and Eliza Ward is still dead in every sense that matters, and the city keeps humming, oblivious, while the case begins to split in two, one suspect held, one suspect vanished, like a door chain stretched to breaking point, holding, not yet snapping, but groaning under pressure.